Out of respect for Professor Agarwal, I will do my best to try deliver this presentation in English. However, I kindly ask for your understanding if I make any mistakes, as my English is still at a basic level. So let's begin. The topic of my research is collective intelligence in teams in the context of public security. I study of the Special Operations Units, NOI, of the Brazilian Federal Highway Policy, PRF. Before I explain this study, I will now define collective intelligence as used here. This study adopts the concept of collective intelligence, CI, defined by Thomas Maloney as groups of individuals doing things collectively that seem intelligent. Another important concept is collective team intelligence. This idea comes from a seminal study by Anita Uli in 2010 called Evidence for a Collective Intelligence Factor in the Performance of Human Groups. In this study, Uli was inspired by Spearman's concept of general intelligence factor, called factor G, which explains individual intelligence. She applied the same logic to groups, proposing a collective intelligence factor, called factor C. According to Uli's study, we define collective intelligence as the general ability of the group to perform a wide variety of tasks. But what does a wide variety of tasks mean in Uli's study? She used a model called the Margraf task circumplex. This model organizes group tasks into 4 types: generate, choose, negotiate, and execute. Uli selected tasks from all 4 quadrants of this model. She wanted to measure the group's general ability. This methodological choice is important. It shows that CI is about performing well across different challenges, not just one. Uli's research says that collective intelligence in a team depends mainly on 2 things. First, how the team takes turns speaking. And second, how well members understand other feelings and intentions, what we call social perception. Other things, like individual intelligence or social cohesion, do not explain collective intelligence. But in public security, policy forces must build trust and strong bonds among members, because team cohesion is essential. So, this is the research gap. On one side, literature says that cohesion is not a predictor of collective intelligence. On the other side, in public security, cohesion is essential for teams. This gap led me to my research question. How do factors of collective intelligence manifest themselves in public security teams? And to answer that question, I defined a general objective: to understand how the factors contributing to collective intelligence in teams manifest in public security teams. The specific goals of this research are to map the scientific studies about CI in work teams, to analyze the factors that influence a team's CI, to build an active circumplex for public security teams based on Margraf's circumplex, to identify and analyze what contributes to collective intelligence in public security teams, and finally, to discuss how policy teams' specific work changes the factors of CI found in non-policy teams. The first specific objective was to map the scientific studies on collective intelligence. To map the field, we did a systematic literature review. and we found 21 articles. Based on these articles, the factors that influence teams' collective intelligence were grouped into three categories: individual characteristics, team organization, and context. We used these categories to guide our interviews. Now, I want to explain where I studied these factors. The NOI are specialized tactical teams of the Brazilian Federal Highway Policy, PRF. They work under constant risks, travel a lot, and share accommodation. This context is important for understanding what we found. About this methodology, about the methodology, it is a qualitative study based on social constructionism. And to analyze the data, we used the Brown and Clark reflexive thematic analysis. Now, let me explain why I made this methodological choice. The articles in the literature review follow a positivist approach. My study is different. I chose a constructionist approach, not just because the context matters, but because I am a PRF officer. I wanted to present a different point of view, the point of view of someone who lives this reality. My research allowed me to understand how collective intelligence works in the NOI. So the literature review helped me know what factors exist in theory, and the constructionist approach helped me understanding how they work in practice inside the NOI. My insider perspective is not a bias to hide. It is a conscious choice. It gave me access and sensitivity to understand the team from within. As Kenneth Gergens say, everything we consider real is the result of social construction. This is the foundation of my methodological choice. To collect data, we used semi-structured interviews. A total of 21 people were interviewed from all over Brazil, including operators, managers, and former managers of NOI. For the interviews, we created a tool called the Noise Circumplex. It is based on Margraff's task taxonomy. And just to be clear, we only use the noise circumplex to get people talking, not to measure anything. To analyze the data, we followed Brown and Clark's six phase. First, we got to know the data, reading and listening many times. Second, we created codes. We did this inductively. Third, we grouped the codes into three possible themes. Fourth, we reviewed the themes and changed it to four themes. Fifth, we named each theme. To do this, we used the participants' own words. Sixth, we wrote the report, connecting the themes to the data to the theory. For the report, we chose to identify the participants with random surnames. As Brown and Clark suggest, pseudonyms help humanize the people behind the codes. Numbers or codes can distance us from their experience. With that in mind, let me now show you the themes that come from the analysis. The thematic analysis identified four themes. Theme 1, the group is stronger than the individual, about how cohabitation and risk forge trust and cohesion. Theme 2, democratically despotic decisions, about how teams plan, decide, execute, and learn as a group. Theme 3, the PRF does everything, from pins to rockets, about how diversity helps teams do many tasks. Theme 4, the NOI just wants to train, about training in the institutional context. In Theme 1, we saw that the NOI travels a lot. Members share accommodation and spend a lot of time together. So the noise feels like a family, and everyone needs to get along. Also, because the job is risky, the team must organize so that members look out for each other. So they need mutual trust, and members cannot be selfish. They must be ready to protect their colleagues and take risks for them. What we see here is strong cohesion. As Barbosa Ferraz said, it is often necessary for the individual to die in order to strengthen the group. The cohesion seen in Term 1 is what makes open debate possible in Term 2. And that brings us to how Noi switch between two ways of making decisions. In Term 2, we saw that during planning, everyone has a voice, and debate is open. But when action starts, under risks, with no time to think, there must be one chain of command. What closes the cycle is the debriefing. That is the post-action ritual where everyone can question decisions, admit mistakes, and learn as a group. That is how collective intelligence recalibrates for the next mission. As Solari Ribeiro said, when things get chaotic, I can't listen to all six of you. We will sit down and have a chat later. What we have so far is that the cohesion of Term 1 allows for open debate in Term 2. But for open debate to work, the team needs diversity. That is what Term 3 will show us. Term 3 shows that the noise strength comes from diversity, not from uniformity. Operators say that the PRF deals with everything, from the smallest detail to the biggest challenge. To handle so many different situations, the team needs diversity. Technical, cognitive, regional, generational, academic background, behavior, experience, and even hobbies. As Soares Arvoredo said, when you have different qualities that work together, they form a stronger team. But cohesion, open debate, and diversity are not enough. The team also needs training and institutional support. That is Term 4. In Term 4, we saw that operators see training as the main way to build collective intelligence. But outside the NOI, training is seen as unnecessary luxury. Management wants immediate results and begins to question the amount of time spent on training. The phrase, the NOI just wants to train, becomes an accusation, and communication with management gets noise. The NOI cannot survive without an institutional environment to support it. The result is what they call an explosion. The team falls apart. As reported by an operator whose identity has been withheld, so the noise ended because of that. I think this needed to always prove yourself. It messed things up here, and we got kicked, pushed around. Let me now present the main contributions of this research. I have 4 contributions to share. The first contribution is about cohesion. Some studies suggest that cohesion is not an important predictor of collective intelligence. But what we found in the NOI is something different. In high-risk teams that live together, cohesion is a basic condition. Cohesion creates trust. Trust permits equal communication and good coordination. Cohesion doesn't create CI, but it makes CI possible. The second contribution is about debriefing. Studies on CI focus on real-time communication as a predictor of performance. But what we found in the NOI is that debriefing works as an essential tool for collective learning, where the team becomes smarter for the next mission. In debriefing, the team reflects on its own actions. Then the team reprograms itself to be more intelligent in the future. The third contribution is about training as a mechanism for CI. Most studies on CI focus on static features of the team. But what we found in the NOI is that continuous training produces CI. Training creates predictive trust. It creates sync and tactical judgment under stress. These are the things that allow the team to act as one thing under pressure. The fourth contribution is about the team's relationship with the organizational power structure. Most studies look at CI as internal property of the team, but the noise explosion showed that the misalignment with management destroyed the team's CI. Now, I would like to present the limitations of this study. First, this is a qualitative study. It does not aim for statistical generalization. It offers an in-depth understanding of one specific case. Second, the sample is limited to the noise of the PRF. So, we need to be careful before applying these findings to other policy forces or contexts. Third, I am a PRF officer. This insider perspective helped me access the field and understand the team deeply. But it also shaped how participants spoke to me and how I interpreted the data. I tried to be reflexive, but the bias is still there. Fourth, the interviews captured only one moment in time, so we cannot see how collective intelligence changes over time. Fifth, we chose not to interview the managers outside the NOI, the ones who caused the explosion. So we only heard one side of the institutional misalignment. These limitations do not invalidate the findings. They just define the boundaries of what this study can say. To bring this presentation to a close, I would like to share a metaphor. If factor C was inspired by Spearman factor G, then it makes sense to see the noise collective intelligence as a brain. The neurons are the operators. An isolated cell doesn't process information. It only works inside the network. The synapses are the junctions where information is transmitted, the briefing and the debriefing. The different areas of the brain represent the diversity of repertoires. And finally, the brain needs a school to protect it. That is institutional alignment. Without it, even the most prepared brain collapses. That's it. Thank you. Any question?
Okay. Thank you very much, Fábio, for your presentation. Thank you very much for accepting the challenge of doing it in English. I was saying at the beginning that Fábio was a little concerned. He didn't think that he was able to express himself in English as well as he could have in Portuguese, but at the same time, for research, it's important, and it's important not only for this presentation, Fábio, it's important for you to, you'll have to present your research in the future in conferences, and we want you to do that in English, and this is why we think this is so important. So thank you very much for your presentation in due time, and now I would like to invite the members of the panel here, Ishani and Fernando, to provide us with their impressions of your work. As usual, we will start with the member of the panel that is further away from your research, which in this case is Professor Ishani Agarwal. Ishani, please.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Can you hear me fine, Fábio? Okay, great. So congratulations, Fábio, for a great job. I read your thesis with interest, and It was very rich, and it was clear to me that you have put in heartfelt work in trying to understand this phenomena. So congratulations. So Fabio, my questions are just questions that are, I'm curious about, is more like curiosities, yeah? So I was very intrigued that when I was reading your thesis that you talked a lot of one theme or one construct that emerged in theme 1, which is collectivism. And I thought this was very precise, and it is different from team cohesion. Like, of course, we can get into detail about how it's different, how it's similar, but I feel like that can be a novel contribution because, a culture that is collective is like puts the group first, right? And this is different from just team cohesion where everyone is well bonded. So I thought that you could really like highlight that. And, I got quotes from your thesis, which is, it's also the motto, right? The group is better than the individual. But then you said it's more important than the individual. Some of the interviewers said. So I think that could be something that could be brought out, highlighted more. So in your experience in talking with the interviewees, what did you think is like, what did you make out of, okay, it's collectivism, it's team cohesion? In your mind, did they seem the same?
I will try answer in English. I think it's difficult to see the boundary of what is cohesion and what is collectivism. Maybe I need to study more about what is cohesion. In my vision, maybe in my biased vision, I merge the concept of cohesion and collectivism, because what we see as cohesion is not the same true or the same significado?
Significant, meaning.
Meaning, yes. Maybe this is a challenge for my work, my study. Maybe I don't study what is cohesion. I only think why I feel that it is cohesion.
Shani, maybe I have now just so that we all debate here. When you think, do you think that there may be also a difference between the studies that were done in North America in an Anglo-Saxon perspective and here? Because my question here is, would let's say the police in New York, and mainly, I'm talking about police, of course, police in Brazil. Here there's a lot of let's say conflict. It's not a police that is only there to guide. It's also a police that is there to enforce or to imprison and whatever. So there's a lot. They have to be a very cohesive body. But at the same time, when we think of police anywhere in the world, when they are under pressure, when it's either kill or die. Are we talking about, in your mind, are we talking about collectivism or cohesion? Because in that sense, we thought that maybe cohesion was more important here, because we think, of course, there is the Brazil thing that we are more collective than, but I would say that if we think of the police, wouldn't the police act the same way somewhere else also?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. That's what I was wondering. Like, let's say if you are in a more quote unquote individualistic country, the teams can still be cohesive, so that's why I was wondering, okay, maybe often an exercise I do to differentiate, parse these things out is, can we have a collective team high in collectivism that is low in cohesion, for instance.
Yeah. But we definitely, maybe we should try and split that. It's two different things. And we don't know which one of them is playing the strongest there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really think it can be a great contribution because, it is striking that team cohesion did not show up as a predicting factor as Fábio you presented. It is it's counterintuitive. That was it the measurement of it, or is it just the construct of it in the previous studies? So I thought it as a strength of your work that you are finding something more precise, which is, it's in the same family of things, of like being bonded, group comes first, things like that. But I think because you have such rich data, you can kind of take those two things apart in the future. And I think that will help the literature a lot, because you, even in your thesis, you present it as the initial, it's like a paradox almost, So that was my one curiosity. The other, Fábio, as I said, I enjoyed very much reading your work. So I will say I have two higher level comments, and then I have some specific details that fit into that. So the first was, I thought what could be nice is to match some of the constructs you found in the interview with existing constructs in the data. For instance, it's one of the steps you mentioned, right? Like first you just did it in the words of the interviewees, and then you tried to match it with the literature. I think when you do a match with the literature, that really helps the scientific community, because then you are building on knowledge. For instance, like there was a place where there was in one of the themes, it says everyone can speak here, is no like dumb ideas, everyone is open to talk. So I was thinking in my mind, that sounds so similar to psychological safety, and then there was, in the second theme, there was this idea that you really need to know who will do what, a clear idea of, okay, it's an emergency, we need to act. We already understand that this person is going to do this role, this person is going to take care of this. That sounds very much like transactive memory systems, So I thought just with a little bit of mapping of what you found in your interviews to the existing literature could really help use your work to advance the scientific debate as well. So that was one of my observations. One question I have for you, Fábio, which is very relevant in this context, is because a lot of the laboratory studies that have been done before is self-organized groups. Means they come in the lab, everyone is kind of equal in the sense no one is in the position of leadership, things like that. But I imagine that in this situation, leadership is distinct, right? So I was wondering, just from your observations, what did you feel? How does leadership or hierarchy play a role in collective intelligence?
I think that first they are the leadership because the team have a lot of trust in them. Many times the team choose the leaderships, and I think that they have a great influence in the team. And I think that the leadership can you ask is how leadership can improve the collective intelligence of the team, like this?
Yeah, or how it can reduce it or improve it. Yeah.
Okay. I think when he listened the team, when he's when he allowed the team to talk and to bring ideas, I think that they can improve the collective intelligence of the team. But when he used the hierarchy and only said orders, yeah. I think that the team don't have a collective intelligence because it's one person thinking and one person only decide what to do. And when I work in Noi a long time ago, we have a lot of difficulty with our leader,
Yes.
né? Because only this choose what we will do or how we will do. He don't listen the team. I think maybe this is the most important for the leadership. Okay.
But in your, from everyone that you interviewed, the debriefing was always very important, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays. So is this something that has been institutionalized more recently?
Yes, because I always do the debriefing. Is something that is very important to us because we always make some mistakes and we need to talk and uh, learn with this. And we one needs to say to leadership, you make a mistake too, and the leadership needs to be
Open.
open to listen and accept the talk. Okay.
Yeah. No, great. That's a great insight, Fabio. Yeah, because I was thinking that is it's a big difference also between the lab teams and the teams you studied. And then my final observation, Fabio, is that would be really nice. I really believed in the value of all the themes you extracted. Would be very nice to maybe in a future work you write about this or an article, identify which of these four, maybe which are the essential conditions, is like if you do not have this, you will not have high collective intelligence, and which are kind of the supporting conditions. So it could be that, like, what you identified, this idea of collectivism, it's like an essential condition, it could be. Or this idea of like being able to speak freely or debriefing, maybe this is the essential condition. And the others are just supporting conditions.
Okay.
I think would be really good to, even though we don't have a quantitative methodology here, but even so, like to almost think of as different weights, right? Maybe one has a heavier weight in predicting the collective intelligence of the team than the other.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's it from me, Fabio. Congratulations.
Thank you, Professor.
Right. Thank you, Ishani. Fernando?
So, hi, Fábio, Alexandre, Ishani. Thanks again for the invitation. And I'm going to start by saying, Fábio, that I'm going to break the protocol here, but you have a dissertation, a thesis, okay? Definitely you have. You don't have to worry about that. My comments are not about you will be approved or not, at least on my side, okay? So let's... I think that's clear for me because I sent an email to Professor Alexandre this morning saying...
I will have to admit here, I sent it to Fábio straight away after.
Okay.
I said, he didn't give me permission, but I'm sending it to you so you're a little calmer because...
Yeah, no, and I think it's important that this, in the morning you are all anxious, and so definitely you have at least one of the best dissertations I have participated on the board. until now. So I can see in times of AI, it's very important for us to see. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use at all. I'm using, everybody's using, but it's very nice to read a dissertation where you have a thesis, where you have this engagement. We can see that you wrote it. So this is very nice. And so my comments here are more about how to improve maybe to future publications, and that's how I'm gonna dictate my rhythm here. Let me see here. Yeah. You know, I think you could have, to engage. I think you should engage more with the extreme context literature. Because extreme context today, it's a very hot topic. And you have great information, and it's not so usual to researchers to access this kind of research contexts. You have a fantastic access to this context. So, and I'm saying that because I was in an event about extreme contexts, and it's mainly about climate change and disasters. I think this is important, and in police you help this, but we don't have this kind of data you have. So I think this is very very important for you to develop your theoretical contributions. Okay. So in the introduction, I say that this is very soft, so maybe when you try to publish your papers, I think this is a very important topic for you to highlight. Because you work in extreme contexts, and I believe that some of the contributions Professor Ishani mentioned, they can be even more relevant if you suggest them in this extreme context, because the police context here in Brazil, it's extreme at all the time, even when you are not working. So I think this is very important. I really like the formulation of research problem, and then yeah, there are some things, some minor things. So yeah, I heard you saying that some of your limitations are qualitative study, cross-sectional, and biased vision. Okay, but in my view, you shouldn't mention that when you submit a paper in a qualitative journal. Okay, not at all, because this is what a qualitative study is looking for. Your bias is a gold there. Okay, we are looking for it. And I'm saying we are looking for it because I am researching mainly qualitative studies now, and it's very nice. It's you have someone, an insider, and then the way you present all your process on analyzing data. Of course, in a paper you can't develop so well that, but this needs to be in the paper. Your positioning. Okay, this is very important, and this is not biased at all when you are submitting to a qualitative journal. Okay, so this is very good. It's like a you brought sometimes here Rafael Okadipani, and every time he's writing a paper about his data on police, it's a hot thing. Like I was there, I was part of that. This is very important. So I completely understand your positioning here and why you put this in the limitations, but when you try to submit the paper, you should invert that and show that as a strong part of the paper, okay?
Mainly, Fernando, because when we're talking about limitations of the methods, it's not limitations of your research, because it's when you chose the method, you already knew that that was what you could get to, right? So
Yeah,
totally agreed. Yeah.
yeah. And okay. Okay. Yeah, again, research context, yeah, some minor things. And then here, you have this literature review, okay? Uh, again, I think this kind of bibliometry you have is like I am not so fan of that, but I think you have here. Let me see. You did an amazing analysis, and when you get to the figure here, figure 12, factors contributing to team IC, I think if you choose to produce a literature review, you should focus on this figure, to develop this figure, because the figure is very descriptive, like, okay, we have these, and these affecting. Okay, but what do you have, more than what they are saying? It's I think this is important. The rest, it's analysis. This is great, but when you are submitting the paper, you should focus on this figure to show, okay, maybe if team organization in different contexts and with different individual characteristics, they will produce different outcomes. And I think this is the gold here. It's not because usually we engage on presenting, look, these people say this, those people said that, and okay, I have this figure. Okay, but they did say everything, but now what are you looking at? Okay, and then there are I saw maybe just as examples, for example, I think I noted here. Yeah, because you have, for example, context. In context is task, time, environment. Okay, but then maybe environment is aligned with team organization. Okay, so I think but again, it's if you were thinking about publication, I think you could, and you already know that because you present that in your empirical data. Okay, so I think it's look, this is great, but if you want to take a step forward, I think you should engage with this literature review and maybe to extend this figure by proposing something different. Then but of course you can publish this probably many journals will like to have this the paper as you have, but you could achieve, I don't know, better submissions if you try to go forward. Okay, and then so this is one of my but maybe you're done with that. You don't want to look to the job and to the thesis anymore. And okay, okay. Yeah, I think when you engage with your methodology, and this is a compliment, you explain all your steps during the thematic analysis, and this is very nice. For at least for me, when I was reading, it seems I didn't expect this kind of maturity from a master degree student, at least not as I've been seeing. So this is very, very nice, you know, to understand, to see that you understood what you were doing. Okay, this is very, very nice. All these steps. The way you explain this task circumflex, I confess that I didn't know exactly that, but I think you could. It's very interesting, and you could present the process in a figure, maybe, because when you were submitting a paper, unfortunately, we have these word limits, and sometimes it's more efficient. I don't like to say this word, but it's more efficient if you produce like a figure in Canva, and then you not count the words, so this could be very, very interesting. Okay, there are some things, but okay. Okay, I'm just finishing. Yeah, there is a figure I didn't understand in figure 24. You have this categories, and then you have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I didn't understand the colors you adopted, because some colors are the same, and I couldn't understand exactly. Maybe when you are submitting, it's important to explain why they like the first and the sixth have the same color, the second and the fourth and the fifth have the same color, the three and fourth I understood, but the others I couldn't understood. So it's only when you publish it, when you submit the paper, I think you could explain this better. I really love the figure 26, and it is the phase 3. I really like it. It's when you are explaining your process. This is very, very nice. And maybe there is a journal. It's a qualitative research organizational methods, some KRLM, something like that. And it's a journal on qualitative research. Maybe if if you try to submit this process to this journal, it would help a lot researchers who are researching inside their own context, and especially in extreme contexts, because I know, because I just now I reviewed 2 papers, one from I think something like a mariner. I think it was a female author, and second from a soldier. And it was very hard to understand how did they analyze the data. It was like a week. I collected it like this, and then the results are that. And okay, but how was your process? So maybe if they had this kind of investment, they could explain better. And okay, definitely you need a table when you are submitting with the data of your interviewees. Okay, maybe the name you selected. I don't know. There are some data you could, like the position or the location or the time in service, maybe the age. But usually someone will ask you, okay, to do that.
Fernando, we were a little concerned about that because there is some level of sensitivity in the data that we have there. We didn't want anyone to be recognized, mainly because there were some of those noise that didn't work out the way they should, and
yeah,
this is a challenge.
No, yeah, maybe the age.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe the age. I don't know, but I at least, or you.
Yeah, of course, to give the reader an impression that they understand better I also like to have that kind of data, and maybe the range of date of ages, like 50 plus or because
you can maybe
Fábio was concerned about this, and I'm incredibly against the way our ethic committees work around the world. I think that there are police, and we don't submit to. I say we're talking
Okay.
to people, and talking to people cannot be unethical.
Yeah.
But we are very conscious, and of course we want to be as ethical. Well, actually, we want to be absolutely ethical in what we do. And one of
Yeah.
the concerns there was to prevent that anyone in the corporation could understand, oh, this was said by that specific person. And we have to understand it's still a sort of a small group, like they're not.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know because I was thinking that even if you explain like this, probably a reviewer will say, okay, but then you shouldn't present the data. Like something like that. I don't know, but maybe like the range, the age range, like a senior, like a junior or something like that would be, but probably I at least the papers I've been working on, it's like okay, tell me something about them. I want to and so yeah, but I completely agree. But I believe that the strategy on saying, look, this is too sensitive,
Yeah.
can lead
As you
to
say, we're
something
talking
like
about extreme context, right? What's
yeah,
the name that you give to it?
extreme
Extreme
context. Yeah,
context.
yeah. Yeah, maybe this can be you should maybe you should look for some work on extreme contexts.
To see how they do it, how they
Yeah,
manage.
exactly. Yeah. Um, and then I want to finish. Yeah, you the way you present the conversation between the authors and the data inside the categories, I truly encourage you to not in this case, okay, but when you submit the paper, you should have a discussion session, okay, but again, it's just because it's better to understand how you provided the theoretical contribution, and finally, yeah, yeah, yeah. This, yeah. I was when you were talking about this thing of leadership that the team chooses the leadership, and there is a paper in human relations from 94 from Gastil, a definition and illustration of democratic leadership. I think you could engage in this paper to discuss, because it's very interesting that you have a so I don't know, so solid organization where the leader will have okay will be engaged in a so so solid structure, but he is or she is defined by the team. Like this is very very interesting, and maybe to talk about how this influence collective intelligences. Definitely it's a fantastic thing you have here, and then okay, I love your data, okay, and yeah, here, yeah, in the summary, reading the findings, it's clear that you have a lot of data and you know what you're dealing with. Okay, this is a fact. My main advisor here would be three. First, you need to sharpen the focus of your analysis in a more inductive way. Like but this is something that as a police officer you will struggle with. I know that because I came from production engineering, and when people said, okay, you need to be more inductive, and I said, what the hell? I don't know how to do that. And but you are in the way, okay? You are in a very good path. It's fantastic what you are doing, but. Probably some more back and forth to the data to understand better what is the theoretical contributions I have here, because maybe I think you have something very interesting here, not only to collective intelligence, but to organizational behavior or human research management, leadership, you know, these areas that can be, you know, where you can produce important contribution, okay? So especially in this, think of relationships in extreme contexts, okay? You know, so I think it's to think out of the box, you know, not only on dialoguing with the literature you have, which is very important, but we need always to know that when you have interviews, the interviews is a lot of data with many things. So, and I think it's an opportunity for you to produce very good thinking, because the context is important. You understand what you're doing. So this is, you know, to identify in your data these movements and dynamics, changing the conversation on collective intelligence. Okay. And I think that the categories, they are still very empirical and less theoretical, but you know, this is not like I'm saying that in a bad way. Man, if what you have, it's fantastic for a master degree thesis. Fantastic, because you know, probably, I don't know if Alexandre will agree or Professor Ishane, but probably if you had 1 or 2 more years if you were in a PhD, you would have your papers. You know, definitely you would have your papers in very good journals. What you should do now is, you know, to deepen that and if you want to, okay? But yeah, but this is what I wanted to say. And again, congratulations and thank you so much for inviting me, because it was very pleasant to me to read your dissertation. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Fernando. Well, considering that we are in a large group here, maybe I would just add an additional room here and invite Ishani and Fernando to that room with me, so that we decide on your dissertation, and maybe you can be there and chat with your colleagues and friends while we're there. We'll probably take some 10 minutes or so. So don't worry. That's the time that we need to discuss and sign papers and things like that. So we'll be right back. Okay. All right. And I already, before I announce the result here, whoever else is there and wants to appear in our photo, please open your cameras and we'll soon have a celebration photo. And of course, to have a celebration, we first have to tell you, Fábio, that the panel has discussed about you know, the details of your work. And we all agreed that it's to a very good stand, and that you deserve to be, you know, to receive your diploma as a master in business. Except that, you know, one thing that happened to this guy, he forgot to take here in our program. They have to do what is the name of that course that you have to do? They have to be together with a professor in an undergraduate class for 15 hours or so that they have some experience, teaching experience, and he hasn't done that. So he will have to wait until the beginning of next semester, and hopefully those 15 hours will happen during the first 2 weeks, right, Fábio? Because I want to kick you out so that you already start thinking about a doctorate program or anything like that. All right. But anyway, so it's not, you still have some pending issues with the program. All right. Anyone else is going to open their cameras for or is everyone, today is sort of almost a holiday here in Brazil. Are you in Brazil right now, Ishan? You are?
I am, yeah. Even FGV, you know, it's like operations are ending at noon so that everyone can watch the game.
Exactly. So many
exams are postponed, everything, you know.
Exactly. Many people are not thinking about doing anything today. So people, if people are in pajamas at their home, they're excused. I think that's only the second Fábio there. That's not part in. Okay. So let's, and Fábio, you also do your print screen there, because mine never works well. Thank you very much, everyone, and smile. Okay. Okay, I do have a photo too. Okay, thank you very much again, Ishana and Fernando. Fábio, a pleasure having students like you. I hope that many of the others who are around, I recognize many of the names are colleagues. Well, we have Bruna Wasilewski, who's not a student, but I understand that by the surname, she's there honoring family, right? Okay, so Fábio, congratulations again. See you guys.
Congratulations, Fábio.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Alexandre.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Fernando.
Bye,
Bye,
see you.
everyone. Bye.